One thing that I want to say too, because let me mention, for example, like the similar to like prayer and like the wearing a headscarf, right, is also required, similar to prayer. So in terms of the headscarf, so there's the 5 pillars of Islam, right, which it's, believing in one God, prayer, give zakat, fast during Ramadan, do a pilgrimage, and that's it, right? So in terms of, and actually, if you can send me headscarf being as like equating to the 5 pillars, I've never.
No. I wasn't. No. I
Oh, okay,
wasn't
okay,
trying to
okay.
like.
She
I was
got
giving you
triggered.
like an example. It wasn't. Yeah. It wasn't that. It was just the importance of it. Like as a woman, you're supposed to cover. Like even men, you're supposed to cover
Yes.
your outer. I always say outer. Those are like parts that it's like entice like the opposite gender or whatever the case may be. Like your arms, your calf muscle, certain things that you're just supposed to cover. Like we have our own things that we're supposed to cover. We
Yeah.
like men. You
Yep.
can't pray in shorts. You can't like stuff like that. Like
So yes, and that was the because okay, so yeah, no, that so that answers my question. The other thing, the thing though that I want to know is like in terms of sources of like requirements, because I know, yeah, you're supposed to be modest and you're supposed to cover and be modest essentially, right? But like I'm like, for example, I just looked something up. It says, while Muslims view the hijab as a requirement, Islamic teachings emphasize that there is no compulsion in religion, allowing individuals to make personal choices regarding their religious practices, including wearing a hijab. And like, and so I want to, and then I also watched like, I think maybe we may have talked about it. It was one of those TED Talks, and it was a girl talking about, and back to how we started this whole thing, references, right? Because I want to do research, be a student and stuff like that, and not just take what people are saying. Of number one, the research of folks that believe that it is something that is a requirement, which for me, based on my understanding, it's not. And based on how I was taught growing up, like in terms of my parents and stuff like that, like it was never even like something that was brought to me as in like, hey, we're going to put you in a hijab, right? From when I was younger. And so, besides if you go to, pilgrimage and you do, and then post that, most of the time, that's when kind of I seen that happen. And so one, I want to understand like the requirement support for that. And then two,
For the prayer? Oh,
no, not for prayer, just
hijab.
on a daily basis. Like, yeah, I'm not talking about prayer. Prayer for sure. Absolutely. I'm just talking about daily basis. And then the second thing is, I'm going to try to see if I could find that video, because my Palestinian friend is actually who showed me that video, because she doesn't wear a hijab and she grew up in an Islamic state. And in that video, the lady went through and talked about the context in which the hijab was in the form that it is, like the headscarf and veil in the form that it is, was brought forth. And it was a situation that was happening in, at the time. And there was a lot of like SA and, the R word and things that were happening to people that weren't, to women who weren't of like a certain stature, and women that were of a certain stature dressed a certain way. And so there was kind of like in that time, hey, okay, everyone dressed this particular way so that to avoid what was happening at the time. So she goes into, I haven't watched the video in a while, so I don't want to quote that or say that that's
Yeah,
my
like,
response.
can we answer the first part of the question? Go ahead. Sorry.
Good.
Yeah, so it's two different. It's required. Where does that stem from? And then what the source is, so I can read upon that. And then on the other side, she was saying it's not required, and here's where it actually came from. But you are required to dress modestly. But the hijab in the way that it is, she had a different background on that. And
I don't think hijab, like, cause hijab could be extreme. If you go to some Arabic country, the women, they will even wear gloves. I don't think it's say anywhere that hijab is required. But as a woman, you have to cover yourself,
dress
like
modestly.
don't
Yeah.
have your dress modestly. I think that's why is required. I don't think hijab is requirement anyway, because if you look at it, Arab, like back then, Arab, those time, even now, they always used to dress like that anyway. They
And
used
they
to,
lived in the
even the men's, they
desert,
used to
so
wear.
you got to cover your face in the
Yeah.
desert. Like a lot of it. So that's my question: is it like the way that some of the other people have taken it, is it also based on the way that they used before even the prophet and everything like that, how they used to even dress in the desert, like culturally, right? Prior to even Islam coming, to pass, when you're in a desert, and even men, like you're wearing the turban and you have the scarf covering your nose and your mouth or whatever, because you're in this particular particular region, right? So like, I think some of the way that it looks now today is heavily influenced by some Arabian culture, but that it may not, to my understanding, it's not a required of it has to be this way.
No,
It,
no,
it
I
was
don't. I know.
go ahead, Donna.
So you're talking about style. You're talking about style. No, so
Huh?
you're talking about style.
What do you mean style?
Like their culture. That's how they.
How to cover their hair.
Yeah. But again, I think when I was talking about, I just looked at Surah. I think it's Al-Nur. It's talking about lowering your gaze, covering your bosom, wearing a cloak to cover all your parts. So it doesn't have to be a hijab, but you have to. So I think
you have
the
to cover.
hijab. I think that people are emphasized on hijab so much. Where when I mentioned Mo, that when they say it's culture, but when you go in the Quran, it indicates that it indicates something about that. It doesn't say hijab, but it's telling you to cover your bosom, lower your
Cover.
gaze,
That's it,
your
yeah.
hair, and things like that. So you,
What surah is it?
Al-Nur,
In verse? That's the thing. I'm not disagreeing
No, I'm
that
not
you
saying
need
you're
to be
disagreeing.
modest.
I'm not disagreeing.
And, yeah,
but I'm saying,
my
what if
question
you
is about hijab,
if you focus on the hijab so much, then people are like, see,
Okay.
the hijab is not in there. Yeah, it doesn't have to be the hijab. But if you put something over your head, somebody will, oh, that's a hijab. It doesn't have to be a hijab. It can be whatever. It can be a bitrang.
just
It can
covering.
be whatever the case may be.
Yeah,
But
it could be like an African, like
yes, the goal is your bosom is covered, you lower your gaze, your buttocks is covered, and dormant is covered, your hair is covered. So whether you want to do it with a hijab or you want to do it with a blanket, whatever it is, it doesn't say blanket, cover it.
what's the verse?
Wait, is the same thing with the women of like Jesus, like even Maryam herself, she used to cover her hair, like all, like it wasn't just for like art, like it's not just for like Muslims, it's for like all people. It's not just for Muslims. I always try to tell people that, like, even the women back then, like the ones that were not Muslim, they covered themselves. They were like modest. They weren't walking around like showing their hair, and like everybody was covered. Like if you look back at like certain times, even like medieval times, you see women are covered, like all that type of stuff. And also like, wait, hold on, to something that I said earlier, like I think I said like the prayer thing is in the Quran. Let me take that back. It was like I meant to say it's not in the Quran, but it's like mentioned in like certain hadiths and stuff like that about the prayer and stuff like that. Let me definitely take that back. I don't want y'all to run with that and stuff like that. I don't want that type of, like it like explicitly like say something about like you being a kafir in the Quran though. Like it says something like it just emphasizes like prayer. Let me emphasize that before this information get leaked.
No, you're good, you're good. And the thing about it also, we're not saying that like we're the experts. So it's okay if we make mistakes. It's okay. There's some things that I've said, whatever, but I'm obviously gonna try to like edit it to the best of my ability to make sure, if certain things is said and then it's like, oh, you go correct, I will edit those out. You know what I'm saying? So, but again, I always say at the beginning, we're here to learn so we can make mistakes and then we can get corrected later. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I think that's the whole thing. The fact that you even having a discussion about it or thought that it was this or that, because a lot of things you actually say on here, you and Mo, a lot of them is like it's factual, and some of the conversation is just disagreement, and you know what I'm saying, that's about it though. But I get what you said. I get what you're saying. I mean, but go ahead, Nimsa. That's the surah. It's another surah also, Al Hijab also, I think 33:59. Also talking about the verse, instruct the prophet, wives, and believing women to draw their cloak over their body, emphasizing recognition and protection from harassment.
And that may have been like what she's referring to in the sense of like people were getting SA and Rs, and
but it's in the Quran.
in that area.
It's two different surah.
No, I'm not saying it's not in the Quran.
Okay,
I said she's talking about the Quran. She was saying, like, you know how when we've been reading the Quran, we read what the context is? What she was saying is providing, like, context in a sense of when it was, like, established in the sense of, like, the head covering and things like that. But anyways, I
agree. I don't want to go to me, it's just like it's one of those conversations where it's like we clearly know what the message is saying, but we're just trying to emphasize, not you, we're just trying to emphasize the hijab, where it's like it doesn't even matter. There's no value to say it's hijab. The whole point is hijab is the one the majority of people wear or whatever all around the world. Just cover up. That's it. That's how I look at it. It's like when you get into that conversation, it's like, okay, you're right. They didn't say hijab. Okay, how you gonna cover up? You're gonna put a blanket over your head? You're gonna wear a hoodie? Like for a woman, what look more presentable is the hijab. So you get what I'm saying? There's no that's how I look at it. It's like that's nitpicking. Or some people, they saying things just to oppress us. No, girl, you're supposed to cover up. Not you again. And I'm just saying a lot. But go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking about just the act of head covering being mandatory or not. And what I read is saying that it's like
it's not
necessarily a requirement
to cover your hair.
You have to be modest. I don't know what the specific. I started the question by saying I need to do more research and read more about.
You making this about you. It's not about you. You're not the only one that said hijab. Your question you're asking, the Quran, we looked at the surah, a couple surah that saying that to cover your hair. Are you asking if there's a requirement to cover your hair or not? Is that the question?
Right. Like, and what that is and what the context of that means, etc.
So if one of the surah that I just mentioned, they said
so I need to go and do homework and research. Okay. That's all. I started by saying like
I agree.
You pulled it up, but you reading it in 5 seconds.
No, it's fine.
I need to actually do research.
Regardless of what it is, if the Quran say that to cover your hair, you can do more research. It's still gonna say cover your hair. Like, you get what I'm saying? Yeah. It's still gonna.
I feel like if the Quran says it, then I don't think there's like extra research needed.
Yeah,
like if it says in the Quran.
But like I didn't read what he read. I didn't read the sentence before. I didn't read the sentence after. I didn't read, like, you get what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is I need to actually like do research.
I'm saying
read. Like you can't just
you're right.
Have their own. You have to. I'm of the person of like, I'm not. Someone says something. Okay, that's all they said, and I stay there. You get what I'm saying?
Well, you did that with one of the.
Yeah, but you're right. But if it's
it was information. Yeah. You said it to. I saw that, and I had to double check it, and then it came out. I think it was like the airplane or whatever, the crashes, and they lied or something like that. And then we looked it up. The numbers didn't even make sense. I looked it up. The numbers didn't make sense. But what I'm saying is, yeah, you can do further examination. You can do that. But I'm looking at two different surah. I give you the surah An-Nur and Al-Hijab. One is clearly saying the surah often is often cited regarding hijab. These are the instructions. Believe in women who to lower their gaze, guard their private part, which even without the Quran, this would make sense, right? So anyway, private part and not display their adornment except what is apparent while drawing their head covering over their bosoms. Al-Sinodi. The other surah say that the verse instruct the prophet wives and believe in women to draw their cloak over their body, emphasizing recognition and protection from harassment. We can look at more stuff. I mean, once you do more research, we can talk about it after that. But I think it's kind of.
I'm about to say certain things in the Quran. They're just in order, like this for you to like be modest and stuff like that. It's not like really much to it.
I don't think the hijab, because some people be taking the hijab thing like to the level. I don't think, but just like, like what Dawda said, just cover like some important part and lower your gaze. I think
just cover yourself. But they even said like Allah has a hijab, like on the day of judgment.
The
women, like the women wear hair.
Yeah, the veil.
Y'all can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
It's like a seal, like just like a protection type of thing, like because us, like y'all.
Yeah, but I think for that though, they said that the sight of Allah, just as a human, we couldn't grasp it. I think that's what that veil.
We couldn't grasp it. No, that veil right there, it's not the same. But the thing is, like with the women, like Allah knows the whatchamacallit He created, like His creation, like He knows there's more than we know ourselves. So He just tell women to protect themselves. He tells men also to protect themselves, to cover their private parts and stuff like that. Don't walk around just being. It's just that simple. Like if Allah tells you to do like a certain thing, just like Tanti Zainab, what she said, like try your best. Like just like some people, a lot of things come with like Allah's help too. Some things when you try your best, Allah will like put it in your heart to like do it. But if you just sit down and you try to like question certain things, and then like certain things is just that simple. You just try your best to do it. Allah said pray, you pray, right? Nobody really question prayer too much. Allah say, what is it? Wear hijab. Allah told men to do certain things for women. Allah said certain women do certain things for men. It's just like certain things are just that simple, to be honest. Like, I don't know.
Wait, so
I feel like that's how it is.
so let's just do that. Go to Surah Al-Hazab and go to 33 verse 59. Here, the beginning say, I can even read it. Surely those who offend Allah and His Messenger are commended by Allah in His world and the hereafter, and He has prepared for them the humiliating punishment. As for those who abuse believing men and women justifiably, they will definitely bear the guilt of slander and blatant sins. O Prophet, ask your wives, daughters,
I'll be back.
believing women to draw their cloak over their body. In this way, it's more likely that they will not recognize as virtuous and not be harassed, and Allah in all forgiving, most merciful. If the hypocrites and those with sickness and heart, this and it goes into whole other one. I'm gonna put up the other surah too, and then you can go to the top city. It will give further explanation. Let me pull up the other surah too. And this is what's the Ibn Kathir, So, but I mean, you can look more further thing, but just a part in
my
in the
main
Quran
thing is I want to take my time, read, understand the context in which it was given.
Yeah.
Because the same thing someone can say, oh yeah, the Quran said if they come, to you, kill them. Like, or if they revert, kill them. You get what I'm saying? So like, I want to understand the context in which we've been saying this entire time, the context in which it was said, and then do my own research and have something resonate personally with me.
No, I agree. I just don't think it's going to change tremendously.
Yeah,
I think
I
it's
agree.
still going to be the same.
Yeah. And I think those are different.
Just try your best, like I said. Just like you could go like certain days throughout. Like my personal thing, I always tell this to women because even like my sisters, right? My sisters, they used to cover. Now they don't really cover too much. Like I always like make dua for them to like cover again, just because of course we don't want to like based off like the things you hear about punishment and stuff like that, and the hereafter. Like I don't want that to happen. Like either one of us. Like even like all like the women that I know outside of my family. Same thing with like the guys outside of my family. Certain things I just tell people like just try your best. Like do it like a couple of days outside, like out the week or whatever the case may be. On a Friday, you might cover the whole day. Like. And just try your best. Like that's really what it is. Like make your intention to like do that at least. Like just because Allah is asking you to do it, it's not because like anybody else. Like your mom is not forcing you to. Like I understand if your mom was forcing you to like cover and stuff like that, it would like stray you away low key because you're trying to be forced.
Not to cut you off, I agree with you. Another surah here. These are all in the Quran. Again, Nimsa can do more research. There is no blame on you if you enter public places where there is something of benefit for you, and Allah knows what you reveal and what you conceal. Pay attention to that, okay? What you reveal, what you conceal. Oh Prophet, tell the believing men to lower their gaze and guard their. I think you mentioned what men supposed to do too, and guard their chastity that is pure for them. Surely Allah is all aware of what they do. And then it say, and tell the believing women to lower their gaze and guard their chastity, and not to be revealed their endowments, except normally appears. Let them draw their veils over their chests, and not reveal their hidden adornments, except to their husband, their fathers, and their father-in-law, their sons, their stepsons, their brothers' sons and sisters' sons, their fellow women, those bondwomen in their possession, male attendants with no desire, or children who are still unaware of woman nakedness. Let them not stump their feet, drawing attention to their hidden adornments. Turn to Allah and repentance altogether. All believe, so that you may be successful. And it goes as more and more and more. And marry for womb, righteousness. Them and bondwomen, if they're poor, Allah will enrich them. So it goes into it. So it's you can click on it. It will give you more. Again, that's a different surah. That's An-Nur. Right, that's also talking about lower. It's talking about men.
That's the surah you first read.
No, Al-Hazab. It's okay.
No, the first one you said is An-Nur. That's what I typed in.
No, and then the first one I read, it's on tape.
It was some other one. It started with an H.
Yeah,
I think you said.
There's a third one.
No, this is a different. The one I read was from
the second one.
Al-Hazab.
The first is An-Nur, which you had mentioned that that was the first. Yeah. Okay.
There's two surah. There's both.
Okay. Yeah.
So, but this one give you a longer version when they're telling you. That one is just telling the prophet wives, to tell his wives to do this, do that. This one is telling what men should do to lower their gaze, and women should do, and to only reveal those parts to only their husband that they're planning on having children with. So
No, I heard. Yeah, I heard what you
no,
said.
I'm saying that's why I read it too. So again, no, it's okay. Go do everything. I'm just messing with you.
No, it's like your mahar. Like, say if I
Honestly,
was
I
to
mean,
go
for
over your
me, it
house.
also says, like to me, I feel like one needs to do their research and understand. And my main thing is the
No,
context
so
in which.
I'm gonna be honest. Certain things, like I understand. This is why I say I like people that have like they want to know knowledge of Islam. I always tell y'all this.
And that's
Like,
what we
even
get
though
wrong.
I big you up on this all the time. It's good to do that, but like certain things, it's just like, I don't know. Like, you could really go do your research, but a lot of stuff, like I said,
Nah,
is like clear
look,
cut in the Quran. Like, it's like right there. Like, you get what I'm saying?
I
And
was
this is
just
coming
messing with
from the
her.
words of Allah, not anybody else.
No, I mean, I was just messing with her. I was
You get
just looking at her
Did we read
reaction.
does something say something along the lines, what do you what does the what is the punishment for someone who leaves Islam? I mean,
You said, well, I think it was like at those times, I think it was like death or something like that at like the time
no,
of the
let's remove
Prophet, I
at those
believe, right?
times
Which one?
because the Quran
When
is
you-
timeless.
when you
So
revert?
yeah,
No,
when
no,
you-
no, no. It's like certain things. It comes down. The revelation comes down due to like certain things that are like that were happening to like that, like at the
at
time
the
of the
time
Prophet. Even
because of
but
context. So, but my question is, but it says it's clear, right? In terms, it says very clearly what to do if someone. So then, if one of your friends
But
revert, right? It says it very clearly in
No,
terms
no,
of the
it
direction.
doesn't say that in
no,
the
no.
Quran.
Me
explicitly.
personally, I wouldn't kill my friend though. But you remember, I also said it's certain things that
Yeah, I
Allah's
know.
knowledge is beyond our knowledge. You get what I'm saying?
Right. So
Like,
my
me
point
personally, I
is,
don't know what Allah said it.
my point is, what I want to do research on is there are certain things, such as the example that I just gave, that were sent down because certain things were happening at the time in terms of context. And like, this was the direction of what to do during that time. And the reason why I'm saying this is because the video that I am like that I watched, that I mentioned, she talks, all of what you read is something that she is saying, but she's not saying it's not there. She's explaining what the context was and why this was revealed because of what was happening. In the same way as why like what to do when the reversion and all of this other stuff that was happening that you're probably not going to do to your friend today. And so I'm not saying that it's one or the other. All I'm saying is I've heard various things and it's now like I want to do my diligence and
No, you're right.
do my research
I
and
agree with that,
understand.
but-
If I'm taking a decision to go to do something, like it's something that like needs to be a decision for you. You get what I'm saying? It's something you choose to do for you because you've thought about it and it resonates with you, and then you decide
fine.
to make that transition.
Yeah.
Not because you're pressured. Because honestly, if you're, I mean,
Yeah,
like,
but I agree with you to a certain degree. But I think like the apostasy, that's what you're talking about. I don't explicitly, it's not. I don't think it says that in the Quran. We can look that up. I think like there's a hadith that kind of describe what happens to someone that leave. I think also what's the Sharia law also. I think that's the Islamic law that also like it's kind of like treason if you do it explicitly. Like not like the one. I think to Lamin's point, he's saying there's certain things in the Quran like it's just very direct, right? So you're talking about the context, which I agree. Like the lady probably talked about why it happened. Here also mentioned that also people were being harassed and why they should cover it. It also mentioned that in one of the surah, one of these verses here, and he said why they should mention because our men were treating women or whatever. So even if you go back and look at the context, you're completely right. She can give us the context. I think
Thanks.
maybe not you, but I think in general people be like, man, people be saying, oh, wear the hijab. What does that say in the Quran? It clearly doesn't say hijab, but it clearly tell you to cover
Yeah.
yourself.
yeah, that's not my, but that's
no,
not
yeah,
my
Yeah,
point.
and
My
I
point
think
is-
that
Not
lady,
you. That's why I said not you.
Okay.
the lady I'm so talking about is talking about hijab specifically. I don't think she like do you like right? I'm so like do you think she was talking about
she's
covering
talking
in
about the
general?
yeah, I think she's talking about exactly the verse that Dauda is reading and referring to in the sense of harassment. I said SA in case you guys didn't get it. That's sexual harassment and rape that was happening at the time. I didn't say the words. I just wanted to like
I was just
not
chopping
say
it up.
it, but it's
Okay, so she was talking about she wasn't talking about hijab specifically. She was talking about covering as a woman.
yeah, like exactly like the specifically with the veil, like because a lot of affluent women were dressing in a particular way, and so this was a way in order to protect like other women from being targeted to be like raped and harassed. And so it was kind of like it was, and because it was happening a lot by, you know, the men and things like that were there. So I don't want to go too much into detail in terms of what she said. I'll send you guys the video.
No, I
and then
agree.
what I want to do is not listen to just what she said. where does she read what she read, right? My point is getting straight to like, what is her source of where this is coming from? If this is coming from a hadith, I want to identify which one it is and read it for myself.
That's true. That's
I understand that this
it's
verse,
clearly in the Quran. Well, wait, it's clearly in the
I was
Quran.
about to say, yeah, I was
Like,
about to
right?
say that.
Two. Also,
No,
I
no,
would
but the
say,
additional thing, like
no, yeah, I agree. That's what I'm saying. Listen,
Right.
listen. I'm not. I believe like we can read a verse right now, like the blower of knots. They give us a whole context of that, like the
Right.
whole story.
Yeah.
You can't just know the whole story, which I completely agree. Again, this is not to. I think I'm also generalizing it. I agree with your point, but I think what
Right.
me, Mo, and Lamine are saying, there's always a controversy about hijabs.
yeah, I
And-
just don't want
wait,
my point to be skewed.
it's not skewed at all.
for people who are watching to make
No,
it seem
that-
like I'm saying the
they're
other
not.
thing.
It's not going to be
Wait,
skewed at all.
I
not gonna be
have a
skewed.
question for y'all, right?
Go ahead.
Like, I have a question for Numso, right?
Yeah.
Like, say you do cover, right? Say you do cover, right? What is like and this is not just speaking to you either, though. I'm not just, if y'all want to cut this out too, y'all could.
Yeah,
But this is not just speaking to you, right? Say you cover, right? What is like a bad thing that can happen to you from covering? Like, if that makes sense. Like me, I always tell people, right? I'd rather you do what, like, you see what's in the Quran, right? And then you see what, like, the consequences of it is. Like, and I'd rather you just try it. Like, I'm big on people trying, right? Because, like, say you try, like, what is it called? Covering your hair. Nothing's really going to happen to you in this, like, worldly life, to be honest. It's not going to hurt you. It's not going to do. No, I'm not talking just you. I'm not saying you. I'm just saying you as in, like,
I think
general
for
sensitive. I don't want
women-
you to take it personally.
I think specifically for a woman, it's a choice that she needs to make because it is a complete
No,
lifestyle.
it's not a choice, though. Like, I know we have free will, but it's also a command.
It is,
Like, I don't.
because if right now if right now I like the people that don't do it,
What the
like
hijab?
if there's no choice, like for example, angels don't have a choice, right? That means you can't do otherwise.
I agree.
For the people that don't do
Yeah.
it, that means that is their choice. That's what the word
Yeah,
choice
yeah,
is.
yeah, I agree.
So what I'm saying is like, or
I
even
agree.
like to lie or to tell the truth.
You have a choice.
That's a choice. So if someone chooses to, not lie, not steal, not gamble, not like,
That's their choice, yes.
go out to the club and not do all these different. All of those are choices that we can all choose to do. And I agree. What's the worst that can happen if I decide not to go to the club?
Yeah.
Right? What I could
Exactly.
choose, I could decide not to gamble.
Yep.
But so but it's for people to make that decision for themselves of like, okay, you know what? I feel it in my heart where like I'm called, like I need to do whatever the effort is. And I agree with you but you come to that decision. Otherwise, every single thing that each and every one of us do that may be whatever vices or sins or whatever, like we could have chosen not to do it, right? But in order for us to choose not to do
facts.
it, you have to make it make sense to you and be like, make it a choice. You have to decide, I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah, I agree.
You know?
I agree.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
we're not perfect. We always
So-
partake in, sinful stuff all the time.
That's why I said at least try. Like, my thing is always about trying, to be honest. Like, I would not fault no girl. You know how some people, they be like, oh, she's a fake Muslim. She covers here and there. She doesn't always cover. I'm like, bro, like, she's trying her best. Like me, I don't fault nobody for trying.
Yeah,
At all. I don't
respect
care
trying.
if you, if you wear hijab today, but don't wear it tomorrow. Like me, only Allah knows what he's going to put in your mizan. Like, I cannot, like, you feel me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Nobody can be the judge of anybody. But look, also like the video you're talking about, and I'm pretty sure you're right. But the thing also about it, the Quran is the word of God. So God, like, you saying what happened, why God made this happen, like, whatever, like the context, like God sent this to the prophet, right? So, okay, so maybe something was happening at the time, and God was like, okay, we need to make changes and send these verses. Is that what you kind of told? Maybe like,
Yeah,
okay.
that was my question in the sense of, because how many verses do you read that people are like, oh no, this was because it was then. Like, I feel like people, like, there are certain things that happen and then it's like, oh no, it's because it was, I feel like we've talked about this before in previous things. Like, oh no, sometimes there are conflicts or there are things that happen in the life of the prophet. And then so God will send this in terms of like, here's how you can resolve it at the time. Whether it's, even if it's not the changing of whatever, like if that's not the case, but I'm blanking on clear examples, but there are fact examples that I feel like you've even, or people have even brought up in our discussions and conversations of how does that work in today's day and age? Like, especially when you get to like war related things or
Yeah.
like battle related things or some of the things that are not necessarily like as soft. You get what I'm saying? So
No, I completely understand. Yeah, and
Wait, I want to know if this mentions this in like the Torah or like the Bible. I feel like if it is, then it will be more like I really want to know that, to be honest, other than
the
just the
covering
Quran.
part.
Like I said,
I definitely think so.
like
I
yeah, the
definitely
cover
think
part, I think it's mentioned, bro.
the
Because
idea.
like, well,
Now,
I
when we
think
talk
I don't want to
What's up,
say this.
Budri? Yeah,
when we talk about covering and stuff,
can
like
look it up.
in terms of, I definitely think being modest in general, right, is for sure. Like I'm not disagreeing with that. Like the way that you dress and all this other stuff, right? Same thing with you said. I don't know if you said your calf as a man, like, or
Yeah, certain things.
like,
Yeah,
which I'm sure
like your arms,
people
your
in the
calf.
summertime have gone out and have not
yeah. They
thought
have a
about
choice
that,
to
right?
follow or not follow. Yeah.
And so,
Yeah,
but so I definitely think it's there because I mean you have nuns, you have like for example Orthodox Jews, the women they wear wigs to cover their head, right? And so it kind of just depends on. But I feel like it's a thing, like it's a even when you get married, you get a veil, right?
Yeah. So I'm looking at it. The Bible in Timothy 2, I think it's 1 Timothy 2:9 and 10. The passage encouraged women to dress modestly, with decency and self-control, not with braid hair or gold or pearls or costly attire, but with good deeds appropriate for women who profess to worship God. And Peter also, he said the verse emphasized the beauty should come from the inner self, the unfading beauty and a gentle and quiet spirit rather than the outward adornments. So it's like it's kind of like the same. This one even say not with braids, like So it's kind of like it kind of goes into the same somewhat with not with the braids. So I don't know. Maybe you can have a braid and cover it, but they have their own saying too, which is kind of like around the same thing.
Yeah. But we can yeah, we can move on and kind of wrap it up since it's getting late.
Hold of your iman, don't give in to shaitan. Oh, you who believe, please give thanks to Allah. Allahu Ghafoor, Allahu Rahim, Allahu yuhibbul muhsinin. Huwa khaliquna, huwa raziquna, وهو على كل شيء قدير. Allah is Ghafoor, Allah is Rahim, Allah is the one who loves the Muhsinin. He is our creator, He is our sustainer, and He is the one who has power over all. Give thanks to Allah.